Vaz here. Unfortunately, I don't have much storage left on my phone. I'm going to buy a new camera. But I am going to make a site out of this very old abandoned fire pit. You see the trees have already started growing, but I'm going to work with this. Make another teepee, debris hut. They seem to work out very well, making a smaller one and doing it a little more precise. So I'm going to tie those together. This, very beneficial. In my survival bag, a bungee cord. And with one simple little bungee cord, you can get a teepee started. The base of it is very, very sturdy. And now I can, where is it? Right here. Now I can work on it. I am here working on the shelter. It started raining. So I really quickly took an emergency blanket, wrapped it around. I had an umbrella on me, and bam, able to stay a little bit dry while I'm working. The rain is dying down. But just an example of quick improv. If it starts raining and you don't want to get wet, because being wet can get you cold, cause you to have hypothermia. So you want to do what you got to do quickly and adapt. So that's what I did. Keep my dog dry too. I'm hearing the birds started making some noise. They were quiet a little while ago. And birds will tell you who's coming around many of the times. So that's something you want to pay attention to. This is what I'm working with. Basic tools in order to get stuff done. You need yourself some proper gloves because you don't want to cut your hands up. I got a decent knife that has a fire starter on it, and also that's paracord. And paracord is fantastic because you can take the inside and get a bunch of more rope to be able to use for different things. I got a tiny little knife to sharpen, basic, some paracord, an axe. I need to redo that handle, and then a trusty saw, and a doggy. She looks out for me. It is another beautiful day in the good old Massachusetts forest. This is about the 4th day in a row that it rained. So let me make it quick so the camera doesn't get wet. I'm going to make a shelter with the tarp. This shelter is only going to work if you have a tarp. I got one. I'm going to take more of these. You see? Kind of fill in the gaps. And then I'm going to take the tarp. I already got the emergency blanket draped over. I think I'm going to take a second one, pop it on, and then take the tarp and then kind of mold it in the way that it needs to be in order for me to have shelter. And I have to do this kind of quick because I don't want to get wet, and I kind of want to make a fire too. So I took the emergency blanket off so I wouldn't rip it with these. Let's fill in the gaps. My first layer of putting the stuff back on. I'm sure experts could critique this and say, hey Jay, you could use a little more of this, a little more of that. I'm trying to beat the rain, and I'm just trying to do what I'm trying to do. Survival is a lot of improv. If you're not able to improv and be confident in the stuff you do, you're not going to really make it that far. So tie this and adjust it and continue. I was going to put a second emergency blanket and wrap it around before I did the tarp, but as the rain starts to come, I think I'm just going to go for the tarp and see what happens. I'm going to go for grit. I wish my tarp was either bigger or I just made my shelter a little smaller because I got a little bit of space in between the tarp and the ground. But luckily with this emergency blanket, I'll be able to kind of finagle something. It would at least keep me dry, but I'd have to really pay attention to those openings in the bottom. But the way that this is set up, it looks like the water would kind of not go too much in the tent. So I'm going to tie this baby up and see what happens. There we go. Quick improv, teepee, tarp, tent, whatever you want to call it. I am dry. I'm going to do more to it to reinforce it because it's not perfect. It's just something quick that you can put up in order to stay dry. And you see that space? I don't like that. But I'm going to improvise. How many times have I said improvise? I don't know. Where's the camera? Oh, there it is. I'm going to take leaves. I'm going to put the leaves. Take piles of leaves and kind of seal that up. You got to do what you got to do. Some stuff kind of seems simple. Look at the camera. This fire and that emergency blanket, the heat reflects off of that. And it makes it warm in here. It's warm in here. I like it. Granted, it's a big fire, but we're dry. Got my doggy. And quick improv shelter. Said it again. Improv. Okay, I made some modifications. I added in another tarp. I brought it down to the ground to seal it. I added in piles of leaves for insulation. And then added this emergency blanket right here. So with the fire, that's going to reflect off of there and it's going to keep you nice and warm. This is a late spring, summer shelter. If you just kept the fire going throughout the night, you'd be pretty good to go. So, as you can see, it wasn't very hard to do.